The world outliner is a window that contains the actors that make up our world. This includes assets from our content browser down here, items maybe from our place mode, such as lights, or even temporary actors that are created when we are running our project. So let's go ahead and take a look at the world outliner. The world outliner can be seen here in the upper right hand corner. It is basically a layout or hierarchy of all the items in our level. So we can see I have a cube, or I have a text render actor down here, or I have a documentation item, and they're all shown in our hierarchy. For organizational purposes, we can use folders. Folders can be created by right-clicking and choosing Create Folder. You can name it whatever you'd like. I'll name this one Doc. And then you can drag items into that folder. So maybe this text render actor, maybe this documentation actor. Now I have a folder called Doc that contains my documentation actors. I can close the folder to make it more organized, or I could hide the folder and hide those items inside my editor. Now if you delete the folder, no permanent damage is going to happen. Folders are for organizational purposes only. They're simply going to return the items back to the root of the hierarchy. We can also use a parent-child relationship. So I have a cube here. It's a Mesh Awesome blueprint. And I want a light. I'm going to put a point light on top of it. And I want this light to stay with this cube at all times. But if I was to move this cube, well, the light's not going to go with it. If I take the light and child it to that blueprint, so now I have a parent-child relationship, which you can see here in this hierarchy, that item is going to move appropriately. And now the light's going to move with it at all times. Anything you do inside of this world outliner is destructive if it's not to a folder. So I just deleted the light. I could delete my documentation actor if I wanted to, for example, for now. But I'm going to go ahead and undo it. You can right click on the items and you'll have context sensitive things. We have the ability to, for example, rename them and edit them. In addition to this, we have a few different ways of sorting and filtering. So we can search at the top for specific items. I could type in player, and I'm going to return anything that has a label of player or even the type of player. So for example, I have the player, which is called player, or I have this item called network player start, which is of type player start. We can also change the additional filter by changing the details panel over here. So I can click on this and we have a few different other options to change it. Maybe we want to sort by the socket type or the type or maybe nothing at all. We can do that inside of here. In the bottom right, we have the ability to change our view options. So let's say I want to make it a little cleaner. I have a large world and I only want to work on specific items. If we click on an item, it'll select it. If we change our view option to only selected, it's going to show only that item. If you click on something that happens to be in a folder, it will go ahead and show the folder hierarchy and just that item. If we want to, for example, play our project and we see our temporary items in here, these are our yellow items in our hierarchy, we can hide those by going hide temporary actors, and now those temporary or runtime actors will not show up inside of our outliner. If we want to group our actors to make things a little easier, our folder structure allows us to organize them inside our hierarchy. However, we cannot really move items or affect multiple items at the same time unless we select them all at once. And sometimes we don't want to have to do it over and over. So in this case, I want to select my arena. I'm going to select all of my walls. You can right click and choose group or Control G, and this will group them together into one group. And you can see this little green widget on the corners that indicates this item is grouped. If I clicked on this item, it's fine. These are individual items. If I clicked on any of the walls, it's going to select the entire group, and any actions I do affect the entire group. You can, of course, right-click and do groups and ungroup them again to ungroup the items, and they'll go back to normal. One thing you can do when things are grouped together is you have the ability to lock and unlock them. So by default, they're locked. If you unlock them, this will allow you to temporarily work on individual items in that group until you lock them back up. I'll go ahead and lock it, and now it's back to it. You can also individually remove items by simply removing that individual item from a group once you've unlocked it. That is the basics of our world outliner. It is, again, a window that contains all the actors that make up our world. Next, we're going to cover the Details panel, which allows us, once we've selected items, to adjust the properties and view the details of that actual object.